hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Garrett's House. I'm Darnell,
And I'm Angela.
and we are here on this Sunday.
Yes. Hi.
It's been blessed. We had a powerful service.
Yep.
It was powerful.
Yes. We are right now, our ministry is in within 30 days of 24-hour fast. Not fast, excuse me, prayer. But however, you should be fasting too to hit that prayer in there too. But however, it is a 24-hour day of prayer, month of prayer. So every day every hour we are praying online, as you can see there. Just log in. Now, this is only from May up until May 7th. Okay, so depending on when you're watching it,
Tentatively,
it is up until May 7th.
Right.
Okay, so that is what we're doing. So we have been in and out of that, and you just log in during your time. If you have your free time, log in, and then you just log out, and then come back in later down the line if you wanted to do more than one time a day.
As I say, tap in, tap out, and get that prayer in. It's powerful. Today's service is so powerful, or
Right.
yesterday's service. So yeah, it's great. And also, we've been talking about my weight loss journey here, and we have that going on. And so I'm gonna
Yes.
show you the site, and you going ahead here first. Let's do this. Let's bring the QR code up. So with that QR code, scan it and mention that you watch this on Garrison House, and they'll give you a deal. And what you want to do is you want to go in there and get yourself checked out.
Yeah, so this is his trainer weight loss journey.
Yes.
And just go ahead and just go get yourself checked out. I mean, hey, as you can see, it works.
I'm coming to me because they yeah. So yeah,
I can see it
Here's the
does
site.
it does work, and he lost, how much did he say he lost, babe? About
40 pounds.
40
The
pounds.
doctor, he was just like September last year. My blood pressure is
It's pretty
on
good,
point,
right?
and
Yep.
the doctor said he wants me to get 12 more pounds. I said, but I'm gonna go lower than 12. I mean, he has a benchmark. He said I'm 12 pounds away from where he wants me to be.
Cool.
And it's been great.
And
So
sometimes I saying just enough will help you, because he was having knee issues, he was having swollen issues, and now, he's walking much better. Everybody may remember he was in an accident. Well, not he slipped and fell on
some ice.
Slipped and fell on some ice 3 years ago.
2019.
2009. Really?
Yes.
6 years ago?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
that was 6 years ago.
Yes.
Wow, time going by
February
fast.
13th, 2019.
Wow, time went by real fast. But yeah, so he lost a lot of muscle mass, so he wasn't walking stable and really good. And he was hunching over, walking, and so yeah, he still got to get his walk. He got to rehab his walk, go back to learn how to walk. But he's no longer stumbling and trying to huff and puff. He's literally almost at the point where he's ditching the cane, but every once in a while he still uses
I
it.
carry it in some areas because
right.
if I don't go to a location enough, I'm not gonna take that risk because I'm not, I'm still my walking is not 100% stable. But even the iPhone's like, wow, you're doing better. The phone says your walking pattern is better. Even the phone was like, wow, what happened?
So yeah.
So what they say here, they perform tests to determine your fitness level. They develop a customized, personalized program based on your fitness level, and they say track online accountability, which I don't have the app yet. They haven't signed into that, but I've done my testing.
This is called the Moses method.
Yes, and it is medical grade testing, custom programming, accountability. You actually get a report as you give to your doctor. My doctor gets when I do mine. I do my report. So these are some of the testimonials. I'm actually a testimony myself. They are on YouTube, and that's my actual trainer right there. So that's my trainer,
My name is Christopher Donald. I am at AM Total Being Fitness,
so that's my trainer,
powered by the Moses Method,
so
and I am with
one of them.
Rabbi
So yeah,
Darwish.
it is
Rabbi Darwish.
a phenomenal program. It's worth you to go check it out. This is really good to check out. So there's information there.
So yeah, go to garrisonhousepodcast.com, right?
Yeah, and then we'll have the information there,
Mhm.
or you can see the information on the screen. Just tell them you've heard it on Garrison House Podcast, and they'll take care of you. All right, so we have a really good program scheduled today. Very good program. It's going to be interesting what we're going to talk about today. And so let's get right on into it. Oh, well, you know what? We didn't tell people to subscribe, share.
Yes.
Leave a
Subscribe,
tip.
share. If you go to Garrett's House Podcast for the
Yep.
trainer, just go ahead and hit that tip jar, and it
Yep.
gives us and helps us to build our platform here, buying things that is needed, and that way we can bring you more great programming.
Yeah, because this table, this is the last time the desk that we have.
Yeah.
We just got to make sure everything can fit on the new desk.
It should be. I think
It
it's the
should be.
same size.
So we are setting up our new desk, so we're going to bring it up a little bit higher. So I'm not doing this.
So we are
I just got
slouching
slouching
ourselves.
down to get to it. But anyway, the tariffs update.
Yes. What we know for sure on the tariffs right now is that Trump did put a pause on it, the 90-day pause on the tariffs that he was going to be doing because they are not coming to the negotiation table. However, of course, China is is holding out. You got two alphas fighting. What are you gonna do? And it's tick for tack right now. Well, I'm gonna do 100. I think right now China's at 140%. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Trump was like, "I'll give you 100 and some." I said, so so it's over. I know it's both of them over 100%. But however, that's where we are now on tariffs. These are the countries that were going to be tariffed. The max that they were getting was 10%. So even some countries were only tariffing us 10%. Well, we're going to only tariff you 10%. So this is what those is. So these are the countries, as you can see here, that were tariffing us. Here we have, I don't even know who Lothario
Lithonia.
is 99%. I don't even know where that is.
That's I never heard. I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
There's so many countries in the world, and
Yeah. And these were the ones that were tariffing. I don't know, Liechtenstein at 73%. Some of these countries, boy, I'm like, okay. Yeah.
That's what they were charging.
No, I think I heard of
to
Moldova.
us.
I heard of Moldova.
That's what they were charging for us coming in. And as we stated, a tariff is something designed to protect the industry of that country. So they tax based on to protect their industry. So they assess a tariff because you don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff come in and it's items that you grow. You don't want that stuff coming in. So you want to protect your interests. And that's the reason why they did the tariffs. They basically said, hey, we're going to protect our products, our resources to keep cheaper goods from decimating our businesses. Just like here it says from NBC News, right there, NBC News, China has raised its total retaliatory tariff on the U.S. imports to 125%. And this is as of April 11th.
Okay.
And so we hit back and said, we're doing 145%.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Congress is getting involved in it. But, the point is, we are not manufacturing here. So what President Trump is trying to say is, hey, we need to start manufacturing. So like, I would say 99% of the stuff we have in our studio came from China. 99%, I probably would say more than maybe 99.9% of all the stuff you have in your home today, if you just bought new stuff, came from China. And so what they're trying to say is, it's not fair that one country is constantly manufacturing.
Right.
And
They're getting rich off of other countries.
Right.
So
because,
and their people is working. Whatever you pay them for that reason, and that's also tariffs based. We're not quite sure, unless he knows for sure. That's based on their dollar, so it's yen versus U.S. dollar. So it may not.
It may be now. It could be based on their dollar or our dollar because everybody does use the Americans. It doesn't matter.
They said last thing I heard too. I heard that the China yen has dropped significantly low. And since 2000 something, so it dropped significantly.
Which is why they were trying to start BRICS.
Mhm.
And for but the whole point is it was designed to basically protect us. China, for example, I have someone who called me the other day. They brought a new production switcher, as we call it, or mixer, however you see it, and they were stuck on something. I said, well, knowing this particular brand, knowing that it came from China, knowing it's probably from the same factory as the one I have, I said, well, knowing them, they cloned the same process, and sure enough, they they
It's all
cloned
did.
the same process. And in that process, I said, do this, do this, do this.
And
it
one of,
worked.
and one of the I just lost my train of thought.
Well, it'll come back
Yeah.
because we were talking about how China. No, we were talking about that to how China copies everything.
Oh, that's right. So basically, even before the tariffs hit, people who were like content creators or whatever were saying that they were already being charged double, and for their merchandise. It's like it didn't even hit yet. So the manufacturers in China are automatically already charging them the extra money. I read somewhere where one guy said, okay, but anyway, he said he ordered a Fenty something. And they charged him an $8, and next to it says there's a tariff fee. So, but if you can afford Fenty, I mean, just throw in $8 in
Pay
it.
the fee.
Right. So they're already charging these extra fees now. So, and it's no reason for that.
Well, the main reason, now this is my tinfoil hat moment that this
Uh-oh.
is happening, is because of this. The BRICS, which is an intergovernmental organization comprising of 10 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they've been in the news too, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. So they were
And
trying to make their own
own
dollars.
currency,
Yeah.
and their purpose was to come off of the dollar system. And this is something that was been in the works. They've been really pushing it, and this is their little logo they have. So BRICS is something that basically the Trump administration saying no, you're staying on the American currency, and I knew this was going to happen. I said I said this before Trump got in. I said if Trump gets back in, he's going to do stuff to basically tear down the BRICS move, because the BRICS move was designed to really destroy America's economy. Because if you take the world off the American dollar, now we have no power. We lose it will hurt. So mainly, this is something that was in the works. I sort of knew it was coming. I didn't say nothing. I've been watching it, following the BRICS thing and the BRICS nation. These are the people that are behind the scenes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice the name, two of the nations have been in the news lately. There's President I think Xi Jinping, but he's the main one. He's the main one leading the move to get off the dollar, because China, they call themselves emerging economies. You see Putin next to. You see, like in this photo, you have three of the people that we are actively like, hey, you need to get your countries out of order. I didn't know Ping was that tall.
Yeah.
mean,
They kind of they were just probably short.
Or he probably stepped forward.
He got to show dominance.
I didn't know he was that tall.
But I think also the last thing I heard that he's willing to come to the table now. So that I'm not quite sure. But the last thing I heard that he is willing to come to the table now.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Because South Africa is having issues. China, these are nations that we're like, hey, South Africa is doing stuff. Which the three people on the left side of the president of China, they've been in the news lately for doing too much. And so this is the tariffs is part of that. I believe this is to tear down that before it even gets started. This is not the first time the United States had to do this, and I had to find out in history when they tried to do this before. And I think it turns into a world war because they're trying to come off the American dollar, which if you're not buying American dollars, we hit. We're hit. And so, but yeah, that's why they basically fooled around finding out.
Yeah. So, that's kind of how the tariffs are working right now. And I was just saying how China is in a moment at this point Last thing I heard, he was coming try to come to the table to try to get, because his dollar just fell almost. And so he's planning on trying to negotiate it. If that's true or not, who knows? One of the things we mentioned, how tariffs will work. Want to go over that, honey? How tariffs work?
I have to find that picture.
So what happens is the U.S. auto industry has parts. They go send their parts to China.
Yeah. So what happens is, basically what happens is tariffs basically is charged on, how did we say it last week, on the raw. When you send the raw goods over there, it gets tariff coming in. And then, but if it's unmodified, anything unmodified is not tariff. That's according to what we read last week. Let me see if I can find that. But if it's modified, it gets charged a tariff. Now, my question is, a lot of people are wondering, well, how would this affect our, if I order from Shein or one of these things? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think it would have an effect because you're not buying in mass bulk.
Because it was on cost. So that's the reason why Shein and Temu was charging such a low amount, because they wouldn't have been able to, they didn't have to tariff on that. But however, I used to order things through Alibaba, and when I had my lingerie business, and it costs more on the shipping than it did on the merchandise. So I'm thinking they're upcharging on the shipping because and it shouldn't have cost almost triple than the merchandise that I'm having them send to me. So so that's how they really are getting away with how they're the tariff costs at this point.
And here it is. I did find it. So this is what we did last week. We talked about some goods and components that cross the borders multiple times before becoming a finished product, such as a car with U.S.-made parts assembled in Mexico and re-imported into the U.S. under the Customs and Border Patrol rules. U.S.-made products that are re-imported into the country without being improved or advanced in value are duty-free. Another example is, say, U.S. exports go to India, where it is used to make earrings. The final product will be subject to tariffs when re-entering the U.S. In that case, even the value of the gold would be taxed. That's basically how it works.
And also they were saying how the cost, if they do manufacturing here, the cost will probably go up. Yeah, well, that's labor costs. Yeah, but you got to realize too, though, you're not having to pay. I mean, how many hands is touched by the time it hits the shore? You think those longshoremen were out there just, they were out there fighting, picketing for some reason, right? But at everything, shipping, the longshoremen, the dock fees, and all that. You think Onassis became a millionaire just because he had ships? No.
Just like this here, our in-ear monitors. It didn't cost much to make these in-ear monitors. It probably cost them maybe $3 to $5. I think we paid a nice amount for them. However, by the time it got to us, it goes from the factory, it leaves the factory. The factory, it goes into a warehouse. Now somebody comes in it goes to the distributor. Distributor charges their fee. That distributor then sells it to another distributor. Then that distributor sells it to, and before you know it, it's probably passed through 5 hands. Mm-hmm. So what started out as $5 now turns into, $200 or $100, because we were able to order. If I wanted to order, what site was that? I needed hard drives, and the same hard drive that they sell on Amazon for $140 right now. If I bought in the bulk level they wanted, they were going to charge me $5 per drive. Mm-hmm. And they would have sent it, and they would have drop shipped it to the Amazon place where I needed it to go. Mm-hmm. And it would have been the bulk amount that I ordered. If I said, well, I need 3,000 of this, 3,000 of that, 3,000 of that, and they charge you $5 each, it'd be great to have $15,000 to do that. However, but I'm going to charge $140, $120 because it's I'm buying it directly from from the people who make it. So that's how it works.
Right. There's a lot of, even you're talking about just people charging extra because faux tariffs. They think it's going to charge.
'Cause they
But
can.
remember during COVID, they had service fees they were charging on takeout. They had all these different types of fees that they were charging, and nobody had no problem, paying a little extra $2 or $3 for that. So, but now, because of what's going on, and it's such highlighted now. I mean, this has been going on for a long time, but now it's just highlighted because everybody wants to,
But where were they at for the past 4 years?
Right.
These are the same people who are doing the screaming. I'm looking at it like, we've been telling you prices were high for the last 4 years,
But nobody want to hear it.
but y'all didn't want to hear
Oh,
it.
Bidenomics is working. It's working because it has to push that. He has to push that.
You have to
narrative.
push the agenda.
He had to push that.
I mean,
And
it's just,
if it was working, why did Harris try to divest away from it?
well, I found out that there was a clause in her running where she couldn't. I gotta find that.
Couldn't do
It's a
what?
video. She could not speak ill will of the administration.
Well, I hear she couldn't speak ill will, but if it was working,
Well,
then
even if she knew-
she could have had just kept carrying it through. No, she divested away from it altogether
She
and
just-
put her own little stuff on there. That's the reason why she didn't win.
She
She didn't
skirted
win,
it.
right? She didn't win because
pun
nobody knew who she was. If she before she became vice president, I didn't even know she was a senator. I didn't even know she was even that because of the fact that until she ran. And I was like, oh, she was running for the office during the time before she got ousted from that, and she placed last. So she had nothing to show for it except for her prosecutor's track record
Right.
where she was putting people in jail.
But see,
So,
in her situation, now that I'm learning more and more about what happened behind the scenes, now people are doing their tell-all books. So now we're starting to learn why she couldn't come up with her own plan. Why
She didn't come up with her own plan.
She didn't come with a decent one. Why she couldn't actually say, well, what we did wasn't working. She couldn't say it. She was not allowed to even mention.
Well, yeah.
So we're now finding out that we're now finding out that is designed for her to fail anyway. I'm gonna leave it at that. It was already designed for her to fail, and he knew it. Some of the tell-all books are saying he purposely said she wasn't gonna win, he did not care. And
But you still had to hit that momentum. So you still had to go out there.
Oh, she had the momentum.
But
it just didn't last.
But Biden was sabotaging her on her own
Every
side
time.
And
Every
then
time.
what fall was when she started when her team was telling her to become the president. and go these grander gestures to go to these hurricane places and
Wrong move.
and come up and be behind the official office of the seal and calling Trump and
That
dictator.
right there was the problem for her. They started doing stuff. As we say, they were doing too much. Instead of her focusing on running, they had her doing stuff trying to be presidential, and she's the VP.
Right.
And you had the governor of Florida, DeSantis, was like, I'm not talking to her. Why is she saying stuff? Why is she saying
I
this?
already talked to Biden about
Right.
it. So they already
He was like, we already got he said, me and the president got a good relationship. Why?
She comes there, photo op, and leaves.
Right. That's
look. If you look at it, her platform it was not awful, but however, she had nothing to back it up with.
right.
So that was the problem. She had nothing to back it up with, and so that was kind of where it fell for her. And the only thing I think people really had a problem was the whole unrealized gains or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're talking about unrealized
Or
gains
something
taxes.
that-
Now,
like
I own a particular cryptocurrency. I own a massive amount of one particular cryptocurrency. And I'm talking about 7-figure level because I bought it. It was like 0.00000 something cents. So I bought a massive amount. So now they can come and say, well, you got this many millions of this coin. You have unrealized gains of. I'm like, hold up. I don't have that money in my pocket. I don't have.
Right, they expect
I
you
don't have
right.
$6, $7, $8 million. I may own that much, but that coin hasn't even hit.
Right.
Hasn't even came out the four zeros yet. It's still substantially under a penny. But I mean, it's been doing better. However, I got in it for long term. You know, you drop, I forgot, it wasn't even that much. I think I put $40 in and got like close to 7 million coins.
That was one of the things. But they asked her, "Oh, how do you plan on putting these taxes? I mean, how do you plan?"
They were going to tax you.
But they have to. I'm like, honey.
The problem with the whole thing, and I don't know why we went there. Now that we're just telling you what happened with her. We're not telling you how we voted, but we're just telling you from our observations. Let's just set that straight. So it's just that we saw a lot of missteps in her campaign. I don't know. We're supposed to be on terrorists. I don't know why we went here, but anyway, we saw a lot of missteps in her campaign. We were traveling to Philly. I was like, oh my gosh, why is she doing this? She's messing up. I'm literally sitting here, somebody who's worked in that sphere. I'm like, she's messing up. She needs to calm that down. Whoever's advising her needs to tell her to stop. And if I would have, I'm be honest, if I was one of the people advising her, had that ability, first thing I would say is, don't say nothing. Don't do this. Don't go here, because people don't like the particular people you're around. But there was a lot of missteps. Don't call the man names. You keep saying if they go low, we go high. It's like, but he go low, you went lower. And it's like people are tired.
That whole election year, even with the other senators, governors, and everybody else, they were digging up crap. They were just fake allegations and everything just to bring down a Republican. And it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Then they went after Eric Adams.
Right. After that, Eric Adams.
He got hit. And Eric was like, I'm done with y'all. I'm independent.
Right. I mean, they were going after everybody who was not following in line with the Democratic talking point.
Eric Adams.
Even
he got a case, and he didn't know what he did to get a case.
And then, they're trying to bring up our slogan. Was it slogan? Slockin?
Elsa
Slockin. And she's 100% Democratic talking point. And she's trying to talk about this whole voter ID that's going on right now, the real ID. And she's like, well, married women who 80 is disproportionate against married women because 80 million women their name doesn't match on their birth certificate. And so the reporter was like, I change my name all the time. And it's not that hard, and whatever, because and you can hear it.
She knows why. She knows why I'm laughing, because she experienced it.
Right. In order for me to get my real ID, I have to
bring her marriage license.
I have to get my marriage license. And I'm like, I've been married for 20. How long have we been married, baby?
Almost 30 years.
We've been married that long, and I had to get my birth certificate to get my license. But of course, now for real ID,
she got the
marriage license because of the name change. That's the reason why. It's not because it's because I changed my name. And now, if you didn't change your name, then you probably don't have to worry about it. But since I changed my name over 27 years ago,
and we didn't even
prove that I am me.
Yeah, we probably should throw real ID in here, but we're gonna keep that same banner up,
right?
Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that. I'm gonna talk about that real quick, because it sort of falls into this one. It does fall into this topic.
Does it?
Sort of. Oops, not that one.
First.
It falls into this one.
Spirit of shame.
Well, it is kind of shaming you for why you changed your name. Okay, we'll go back to that. But anyway,
I think you might have missed that one.
I missed that one by I just threw a reel. I didn't catch it. But anyway, she had to go through a whole lot of hoops. And I still gotta go do it. We will have to talk about real ID, because it does kick in for those.
So maybe next week we'll talk about how to.
Yeah, we do need to add real ID, because you do need to have it in order to enter federal buildings. And soon travel by air, and coming soon to vote.
Yes, that was the whole concept that you're talking about the real ID, and that's what Slockin. That's what she was talking about.
Elsa
is being misappropriated. People who are married and their birth certificate doesn't match. So how can they get a real ID? Then you just got to get your marriage certificate.
Yeah, sometimes I think politicians on both sides think people are dumb. I honestly do. It doesn't.
It's a talking point.
It bothers me, because it's like, you think people are that stupid to not know. I'm being real. Because even the whole ID thing, oh well, people can't get ID. You think people are that dumb that can't go to the DMV or Secretary of State, depending on where you are, and get an ID?
You can order one online if you.
Some states give it to you for free $99.
Right.
If you have
right.
no income, you get it for free $99.
And it's just an ID itself.
Right. I mean,
no, that's a good question, honey. So if you get a real ID, can you would it be considered one of those just an ID itself,
Just a regular-
non-drivers?
no, you can get a state ID, real state ID, and a real state driver's license. Real ID just means you have the flag on it. I'm not showing mine. I have the enhanced, which means I can cross the border. If you don't have, because they even changed that. You used to just need that real ID, you can cross the border. No, now you gotta have the real ID plus enhanced. So now you gotta pay more. So if you want to, in our case, since we live near Canada, to go to Canada, I can go to Canada, but she just gets a standard real ID. She can't go. So you gotta have the real ID plus the flag. If you don't, you can have the gold star, but you also have the flag, which means
I can go to Canada with
if you don't have the American flag, you gotta have the flag on it. If you don't have the flag, if you just had the star, you can't cross the border. You gotta now have the whole thing. So you gotta have the enhanced. So when she'll get the enhanced real ID. So if we decide to drive to Windsor, which is south of here, we can go and do that. Cool. But anyway, let's move on to topic 2, since I already teased it. Is the Bible diverse?
Is the Bible diverse?
It's the most diverse book in the world.
The only diverse book in the world.
It's got men, women. It has eunuchs. It has murder. It has deception. It has Samson and Delilah. It has adultery. It has all that in it.
And technically, if you think about going back to Samson and Delilah, what do you think the war that's going on right now in Palestine?
We won't talk about that because we wouldn't understand that. It goes back to biblical. Because a lot of people are complaining about wars over in the Middle East that's been going on for 3,000-4,000 years. Yeah. I mean, these are fights that have been going on for so long. I don't care how many signs you put up.
The Gaza Strip.
Right. I mean, we've been Israel and Gaza and Palestine. They've been fighting forever.
So yeah, I mean that's the Bible. The Bible is diverse. You have a lot lot of things. It's in there. You know, you have death and resurrection. Now. You have witchcraft, mystical arts. You have
the Song of Solomon.
Yeah, you know, you have you have limitations. You have.
But most people never read the Song of Solomon. If you read the Song of Solomon, you'll be like.
The Book of Wisdom.
That's the Song of Solomon. What? Wait a minute. What did he say?
Proverbs. Yeah. I mean, it's wisdom. You got knowledge. You have flooding. I mean, there's a lot of. Yes, it is a diverse. It's really a diverse book.
It's the most diverse book.
And a lot of things people use the Bible to do fictitious stories, and they're pulling things out. Greek gods and all that.
They're called allegories. And see, this is when we bring my trainer in. See, I didn't bring this up to him, but if I would have brought my trainer in, brought him in, he would have broke it down so deep. You'll be like, dude, you are extremely, because I'll talk to him about stuff. I'm like, for your age, you are very well educated on this matter. He can break down everything. This happened during this period, and he'll correlate it between what happened in the Chinese period, which links to this. We had a discussion about Buddha and Muhammad, how Buddha prophesied Jesus was coming, how Muhammad said Jesus was coming, and both of them basically said he would rise. So there's a lot of stuff that I've talked to people who study fake religions, and they said a lot of the stuff today has just been changed. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these, like Buddha was basically a teacher. Muhammad was a teacher. It's just that man turned into worshiping them. And from that point, you know, you figure like this. These guys, this is my tinfoil. These two men are in heaven. Like, God, I don't know what those people did. All I did is told them to do this, and this. Follow this. I said your son was coming, and da. I don't know why they worshiping me. You know, I don't know why they got me. Why they got a statue of me in every Chinese restaurant. I don't know why they did that. I didn't tell them to do that. But it's just cultures. No, like
I mean, China's not the only one that follows Buddhism. No. But not every Chinese follows. Buddhism.
But I'm just saying, and then
some
you have
Christians.
Then you have some countries that have 100, 200 to 1,000 gods. It's like,
That's just too many.
I mean,
Well, you know, Catholics they have saints. You know,
those are icons,
right? So you know, Saint Christopher of something.
Saint Christopher is for law enforcement.
The saint of this, like the saint of this person watch over us.
And a couple of the saints were alive. A couple of the newer saints were alive. We remember when they were alive. Saint Teresa.
Yeah, she became a saint. Well, that goes back to making people martyrs too.
Yeah, and Saint Nicholas. It's a real person.
Patron
It's
saint,
patron
of, the
saint
children.
of children. That's a real person. It's just the world. Again, prime example. Saint Nicholas got turned into a jolly old elf wearing a red suit going up and down the chimney. But that was a man who was a patron saint of children. He was a real person.
Well, that's where paganism comes into, right? You know,
Which, I mean, that goes to show you that. So going back to the Bible diverse is extremely diverse from the creation. In fact, it's so diverse where even science tries to debunk parts of it. Even science is like, this is real. This really happened. This really happened. This had to happen. Science is trying to explain the Big Bang. And a lot of people, because some people misinterpret part where they say, again, my tinfoil hat, I'm going to say this because it's my theory, because some people they think it's 6-7 literal days. No, a day on earth is as 1,000 days in heaven. 1,000 years, no, a day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. Therefore, that means that day 1 was 1,000 years. Day 2 was 1,000 years. Day 3 was 1,000 years. So it's 6,000 years to man. So that's where so when you look at that number, it's like, 6,000 years to man. Now, when did the calendar start? I'm not sure when the calendar started, the Hebrew calendar. And I believe that's when we became conscious. So we don't know how many years passed from the creation to when we started keeping time. Because it said, we don't know when it started. So
there's a if you on Prime Video, there's I think it's either called The Story of David or The Book of David. I'm not quite sure what they stated, and it's very fictitious, but they take creative licensings from the story, the biblical David in the Bible. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me take a look and see what it is. It's not that it was bad. It is what it is. You take it for what it's worth, okay? Because David's story is very universal. I mean, not universal. David's story is intriguing. The king. You're talking about a man becoming a king.
Also the house of David.
Is the house of David? Yeah. And so you're talking about a man. So David's story, to me, I love this David story. You talking about musicians, you talking about a king, you talking about a lot of this stuff. But however, they did take a lot of creative licensing from it. Like if you want, yes, David was a shepherd boy to lambs, or was it lambs? And yes, but however, the way they had it was, Joseph, his father, loved David because David was of his older age, and of course he gave him the cloak of many colors. However, in the house of David, they had it where he was a bastard child, and his mother died, and his mother passed on her musical talent to him. Now, if that was true, I don't know. I mean, I didn't dive deep into the whole backstory of David's mother, because you never hear about David's mother that much anyway, because David's mother, actually, the only thing we know about David's mother is that she sent him to the field where the giant was, and in order to feed them, And David was like, "What you doing there? Get up out of here," So why tarry long? But anyway, so, and then of course their brothers, they did have the brothers, which, okay, that's a creative licensing, because yes, we know the brothers did not like David because of that. And so they did mention how Moses, it was 400 years after Moses, and they didn't have a king. So then Samuel, if I'm not mistaken, placed Saul as king, but Saul got the big head, which we knew that, right?
Yeah.
Saul got the big head. Saul got the big head. So then it just,
Saul
at that
became a
point,
murderer.
right? So there was narrative of that story that in the beginning. Then now they started going in there. The only point I had really, since it's it just wasn't a great storytelling. The direction wasn't all that to me, and the actors in it kind of did not draw me to continue to watch it.
it's just like
That's just
Hey.
if you wanted to continue to watch it, I would definitely would say that this is nothing. It's creative licensing, and you don't think that you're gonna go here and then try to do a Sunday school off the
It's like it's just another one that they did
Book of Claims?
a what if.
Now, at first, I thought that was kind of like, I dropped it. But he said it was good, so I think we both picked it back up. And I was like, okay, let me watch
She
it.
the problem was I think we did do a review on
We
this.
did.
I said the issue was we as Christians sometimes overanalyze it.
it.
And we don't
No,
understand.
that wasn't really why it was. It just didn't make sense to
They
me.
didn't like. I don't think they liked the picture and what you see on the poster. However, the
Well,
point,
they said, what you mean?
they didn't like right. Well, no, it's a lady there. They
No,
didn't like.
I'm just
They
saying.
didn't like the poster. I'm believing they judged it on the poster. But
No,
but with the poster, honestly, it was
It's not
like
blasphemy.
no,
I
but
mean,
that's how we always see it. So I watched the
this
movie.
one right here. Now,
Yeah, that's the poster
now
that I
what was
think people
going on
see.
over there in the other country during
Yeah,
the
in
Olympics?
France. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone. But when I watched it, it was a what if. He was a brother.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the brothers of one of the disciples.
And you
It
got
was
to
actually
realize that
really good.
you got to realize that that was something that was going on where they had a lot of faux Jesuses walking and trying to walk on earth. If they knew who
That was
Jesus
so
was, then Judas did not need to kiss him to say this was who he is.
Right.
So yeah, they had a lot of
So
faux Jesuses walking on the earth, and people trying to say that they're the Messiah, and so yeah, they needed to. So they decided to round everybody up, So he said he just wanted to be that. He wanted that prestige there. It got kind of good when he started to carry his own cross, and his buddies, his backup was like, I got this. He said nope. He told him to stay back. And I was like, well,
And then the guy who he's like, it was white Jesus, like, why are you sketching my picture? And then there's another one, I forgot who's the author.
and he was on the cross.
Yeah, he was on the cross, like on that one. And so this is another one that's coming out from Angel Films, King of Kings. And I forgot who the author was, but it actually started out, and I watched the video on explaining it. It was one of the author, a great author. I cannot remember his name. He would tell his children the story about the King of Kings. And now we didn't know, looking back, we never knew this person was Christian. And I'll get the information. So in fact, they said his picture is here. That's him right here, the author, the actual cartoon character of the guy, the real author. And that's a cartoon of his son. And these are real people. And he said, he told the family, do not publish this while I'm alive. And isn't that Charles Dickens? Maybe it is. So they didn't publish it, but the grandson published it. And Angel Films picked it up, and it is now it's coming out. And I think you're gonna look it up.
Yeah, I'm going to.
And so basically, he told the story of, and this is somebody you would never know was a Christian. So there are a lot of people who create allegories, and basically an allegory is like the Rings, Lord of the Rings is an allegoric film. Christian people, Charles Dickens, I had it right. So let's come to yours. So that's Charles Dickens that you see there in the picture. He's
the film. Yeah, the film follows Charles Dickens, a young author who narrates the biography of Jesus Christ. Together, he and his son Walter embark on a venture as the master storyteller engages the boy's vivid imagination.
Ironically, I think I want to go see that.
I don't know.
I'm not a cartoon. I'm not into the
That's what it is.
cartoons.
It's not even.
So
it's
I may have to wait for it to drop on Netflix.
This is they don't call it. What do they call this type of cartoon?
Animated.
Yeah, it's animated. It's not. It's 3D. It's not 2D.
animation.
It's 3D animation. Yeah.
Angel Films, as you're watching, we have movies here, and we are looking for a production house, and we know you're a Christian production house. We have a really great movie here, and we think that you should look at it. And so anybody knows anybody from Angel Films, have them just hit us in the email, because we do have a movie that needs to get shot, and it's really good.
A lot of Hollywood does do a lot of stories from the Bible. So the one with Moses, with oh goodness, I see his head. Steve Carell is a Steve
One Night
Car-
with the King.
No,
Then you got
no, not that. It was a comedy. I think it was Steve. or was Jim Carrey? I know Jim Carrey did one.
Oh, God
And
was
then
one of them.
God, right, right, and then there was the one with Moses. I can't think of that one. Noah. I think it was Steve.
What's Noah Ark, the one that was really bad? That I was like, really? Pants weren't invented back then.
I don't know. It was like back in the 90s, I think, or something like that. It was a while ago.
Let's see.
But it might even been in the early 2000s. But everybody does do a lot of biblical storytelling, and at this point in time, I think everybody wants to go back to something fun, and
People want to
something
go back to
interesting.
wholesomeness.
That's right. Maybe sometime we should do like a little scissor reel on 9 gifts.
Yeah, 9 gifts is sitting right behind us.
Yeah. So and speaking of, Hosanna the movie, it's not a biblical it's not a biblical walk when Jesus was on physical form on the earth. However, it is a nice watch, and it's a fun watch, and it's a romantic comedy. A male is our male lead singer, and our female lead dancer.
DeLorean Cotton.
And they come together, and it's a nice storytelling.
And we want you to go on ahead there and take a look.
Right, indiemovietickets.com and register to say, hey, I may be interested in watching, because I think at this point of stage, we may have. Should I tell them what we're planning on doing?
No, we'll announce that because we got to do some strategies here.
Okay.
I got to go and talk to we got to make some strategies. So
Okay.
I'm trying to reach out to our co-executive producer, but if you're watching, call me. That's what I'm calling you for. Just being real. And then real quick, we're going to go to, you know what? We're going to go to this real quick. And wow, time is flying. But before we do that, time is flying. So she's been talking about, wow, we only about 5 minutes to talk about this one. So
5 minutes?
yeah, we got 10 minutes left.
Oh, because your timer is off then.
Oh, no, because we went over as usual.
Spirit of Shame. Basically, what Spirit of Shame is, shaming people for doing something, or shaming people. It don't even have to even be. It's just basically just shaming people into doing, because they're doing something. Like we're content creators. We're out here in a podcast, and people you just have trolls or just cyber bullies, and that's all they do all day, every day. Go online, bot it up, and just send out bots and starts to shame people. And it doesn't even matter if the story was true or not. They don't even care if the story is true or not. They're there just to pull the narrative and to shame you. And this having a spirit of shame because you may have said something wrong and somebody came back behind you. Now that person may not thought they were doing something wrong. They just thought they were correcting you. But sometimes people feel a little bit lost, feel a little bit hurt because now you sit in front of everybody. So that could be also a little bit of a shame. That person feels ashamed, and then that's when that spirit comes in, and it stops a person from wanting to continue to do what they were doing. Or so you make a mistake. Oh, I made a mistake. I don't want to do it no more. Hey, that's me. If I made a mistake,
tell her, don't even worry about that. It's okay.
I made a mistake. I know. I'm like, I should have said this, because I always play back in my mind what was said and how it was said and what I was doing. And so, I thought it was a little embarrassing. I thought it was embarrassing, but that's how that spirit gets in, and it stops you to progress forward.
I'm going to say it like this. We over 50, so we're going to say what we want to say. We've been holding back for a long time, and we got a lot to say. Because I can tell you now, for fun, I turned on a feature on vMix, and I said, let me see what this does. They have an automated AI-generated comments that we can put on the screen. I would do it here.
See?
I can turn it on, and it listens to what we're saying, and the AI would create a person's name,
right?
And it'll put up a comment. It was some real funny comments. I didn't put it up during service, but as it was playing, if I would have kept it going, it started lining up to what was being said.
Right.
So it's kind of scary.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. It's just a bot. And people go live, and all it is just bot comments. Because ain't nobody can type that. One person can type that fast.
It was kicking out in like 5 minutes. I created 30 bots just putting the comments out.
Yep.
And I said, okay, let me turn this off, because I was like, what is this new feature? And I said, okay, so yeah.
And then we have, from coming out of Spirit of Shame, going into or is this it?
This is it.
Oh, I thought we had cyberbullying.
This is the same thing.
Oh, okay. Well, cyberbullying, it comes from cyberbullying. Cyber murdering or online,
Cyber
unliving. And you have these bullies, cyber bullies online, pushing it,
Yeah, we need to see that
and
movie.
making it as if now here we have where you're kind of like in fault for this person to unalive themselves by their own hands. And so, and technically, that's what we were calling cyber unaliving, because that's kind of what you're the ones who are sitting, you're the ones who sat there and pushed this narrative. And so, and people are, if you're very sensitive, that's going back to the spirit of shaming. If you're very sensitive, right now there was a star a few years back, and she did a movie, and she was coming out of this image. She was trying to come out of this sweet image and going into more of an adult movie. That movie, she should never did that movie.
She should have.
It was probably too mature for her at that point. She should have done a little bit more less risque movie. But because people started doing screenshots of certain parts of her, and then they started posting it online and just pushing narratives online, so she said I couldn't take it anymore, and it caused her to want to take her own life. So that's kind of how it works, and it's terrible that this is happening. And now we got another person there who's being cyberbullied into false allegations, blindsided about some false allegations, and if he tries to tell the truth, nobody wants to hear the truth. And everybody knows the truth, but nobody wants to hear it. They just want to push the narrative saying he's this and he's that. So yeah, that's what cyberbullying
they're
is.
doing a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of drama. That's just like when people made that, like what we said. I'm at that age now. I'm like, oh well.
Get your own platform.
I mean, right. I mean, you don't like what we said. Okay. I mean, it's your.
I mean, nowadays
you're
you
not
can just
going
cut
to
off
bully.
the
You're
comments.
not going to bully me to change my mind. I'm grown, and in some cases, the people who be trying to cyberbully you are young enough to be our child, and say, I'm old enough to be your daddy. So please sit down and be quiet. So that's where I'm at now in life.
But we do appreciate you coming in and joining us. But let's be cordial with everybody.
Let's be nice.
You can have your own comment, but don't like I posted about what I felt about this whole thing was going on with this actor, and I got called old grandma. I got called auntie. I got called old lady, and I had a lot of FUs.
I said I can tap in.
Oh, I said okay, you know what? And then I had this graphic picture that got posted, so I started, I turned that one in, and I started deleting it and reporting.
I said tap me in.
I was okay. I mean,
I know she's okay, but I say, as a husband, I'm like tap me in. I can go in. But see, I had to create a different account because my ex account is our business, our TV network, our network of stations. So I want to tap in.
It is what it is. It's not like I have to live and die off of my my ex account.
No, we don't worry about that. And so we watched the movie last week. We bought this movie, added it to our library, and I was like, wow. So you're gonna see me do live right here, 5 stars. And for those, we have this is actually our own server. So we have our own media server. So we pull up our movies. It was actually a very nice movie. It was better than the original one in some cases, some areas.
I mean, if you like the original one.
The original one is dated. So for this era is perfect for this generation. And the director, Lee Isaac Chung, that man set it up. I mean, he did a phenomenal job directing.
I mean,
that's my opinion.
If you gotta like the genre in order to say, yeah, you like. I mean,
I loved it. In fact, I may watch it again.
It was an entertaining watch.
Yeah, and it says here resume, but we kept bouncing from different devices, so I still got another. I'm gonna reset this one, but it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. And then I had some birthdays. I forgot to mention my sister Tamira's birthday, my brother Alvin, aka Red, because you'll probably hear me say the brother Alvin again. My dad had the George Foreman thing going. So two of my siblings had their birthdays this past week. My brother Red, he hit his 55 a few months before me. Don't ask. So he's in his double fives, and his daughter is a phenomenal realtor, and she's doing really well in real estate. And I'm very proud of how they're doing. They're doing really well. So, yep, my sister's doing well. She's in Vegas, and she's doing her thing with my brother, Alvin. My other brother, Alvin. See, I feel like this is my brother, Daryl, and my other brother, Daryl. I'm literally, this is my brother, Alvin, and this is my other brother, Alvin.
Well, yeah.
Literally, I actually, my name is Darnell. This is my brother, Alvin. My other brother, Alvin. That's how it is. So, but yeah, it's great to see we're all doing well. Out of my dad's 10, 8 of us remain. We've lost 2 sisters, younger sisters, ironically. That's the more shocking part. So, but out of the 10, we're all here. But
go to Garrison House Podcast. Yep. Look at all our platforms that we offer, and also there's a tip jar. Just go ahead and tip it. Go ahead to the platforms and like us, share, tell somebody else, and tell a neighbor,
tell a friend,
tell a neighbor that Garrison House Podcast is on the air. We come on. We come on every Sunday at 7 p.m., but we do a replay. CashmereTV.com. You can see us on there.
You see us on BTV, but I forgot what time.
BTV. So, yeah. So, we have been doing this for almost 2 years, isn't it, honey? Oh,
yeah,
1 year.
2 years.
2 years. It'll be 2 years in September, but however, about a year and a half now.
We started at the bottom and now look at us now. But also
exactly.
Yeah, we started at the bottom, and then we also want to remind people.
Yes, please go to, if you like 24-hour prayer meeting. Join the Operational Prayer Guard, and get in where you fit in. 24 hours. You can just log in anytime. It's going, and yeah.
And then we also have, as I said earlier, the Moses Method, where I get trained and how I've lost a substantial amount of weight.
Yes.
I can get on the scale without it telling me get off. Literally, it was
right. Scales go up to so high. Yeah.
The scale literally will tell me get off. You're not welcome here.
I think I would go live, but because we're in a 24-hour prayer meeting, maybe I don't know. I was going to go live about talking more about weight loss and weight loss medications.
We'll wait till after the prayer. You said.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because she signed up to lead one of the prayer minute sessions. She did it before, so she can do it again. So we know. I got to sit there and pray for an hour.
Okay, I'll push it through for an hour.
She did it before, and I was in Atlanta, and I watched it, and I enjoyed it. And so I teased her, said, just do it from here in the studio, sit in this spot. I'll put the graphic up on our screen, and you can just do it in the studio, or she has her corner. So
do it 3 a.m. one, maybe nobody be watching.
Do it in the studio. So yeah, well, we are very happy that let me see how much time we got left.
Well, there's 8 watches, so it's 6 to 9, starts 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then from there on it's every 3-hour increments.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's a good experience. I went in there.
First watch is 6 to 9 p.m.
Yeah, I went in there and I tried to go to bed and I couldn't sleep. It was that good. But anyway, we are out of time. I'm Darnell.
Pull them children out. Bring them back.
Yeah, I'm Darnell.
And I'm Angela.
And thanks for watching
Garrison House.
Now you can pull them children back. Get in that prayer line. Get on there. Have fun. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.